You feel it before you can name it. A sudden rush, a tightening in your chest. The world blurs, sounds stretch, and your breath. It just isn't there. It's panic. But centuries ago, no one would have called it that. They didn't have the language for it. Only the experience, raw, bewildering, and deeply human. And that's where this story begins. Because panic in some form has always been with us. It's not a product of modern life, though it may feel that way. Long before diagnoses, pills, or therapy apps, people trembled in candlelit rooms, collapsed under invisible weights, wept without explanation. What you feel now, they felt then. The difference is how the world around them chose to explain it. For much of history, fear wasn't something that came from within. It came to you. From spirits, from gods, from demons or curses. In the medieval world, sudden terror might mean you were being punished, or tested, or possessed. A trembling hand wasn't a sign of anxiety. It was a message from beyond. People lived in a world saturated with meaning. That could be a comfort or a burden, especially when the explanations didn't help the pain go away. Then came a new kind of diagnosis. In the 19th century, a word began to gain traction: hysteria. It was a medical term, but it was never just about health. It was about control. Mostly aimed at women, hysteria became a catch-all for everything society didn't want to understand. Grief, desire, rebellion, fear. If you shook or screamed or fainted, you were labeled, not comforted, not helped, just dismissed. Hysteria said more about the people doing the labeling than the ones being labeled. And while women were being pathologized, the world itself was changing. Trains roared through countryside. Cities expanded like lungs inhaling coal and noise. Telegraphs stitched continents together with electric speed. And suddenly the body began to break in unfamiliar ways. Railway spine, they called it. Neurasthenia, people were fraying at the edges, and doctors spoke of overwrought nerves, of minds stretched thin by the speed of modern life. The metaphors became mechanical, humans short-circuiting like overloaded engines. Sound familiar? But nothing challenged the old ideas more than war. World War I brought a new kind of suffering. Brutal, anonymous, relentless. And for the first time, men, soldiers, heroes, they broke. Shaking. Silent. Staring into space as if the war had never ended. Shell shock, they called it. And suddenly, panic wasn't just a woman's affliction. It was something that could silence the strongest. Something no one could ignore anymore. By the 20th century, psychology had new tools. New manuals. The DSM, a book that tried to put names to the shadows. In 1980, it added a new term, panic disorder. And while this gave many people validation, language, a place to begin, it also drew a line. You had panic, or you didn't. You were inside the category, or you weren't. But anyone who's ever felt it knows. Panic doesn't care about definitions, because panic isn't clinical when you're in it. It's not a bullet point in a textbook. It's a tidal wave. Your body becomes a room you can't escape. The walls shrink. Your breath turns to static. Thoughts loop and loop and loop until your only wish is for it to stop. And whether it happened in 1883 or yesterday, the sensation is eerily the same. So where does it come from? Some say the brain, a misfire in the amygdala, a chemical imbalance, fight or flight gone rogue. Others say society, trauma, expectation, the unbearable weight of supposed to. Both are probably right, because you are both chemistry and story, nerve endings and memory. Your panic is a map of everything you've lived through and everything you've buried. And in that complexity, we've built industries of relief, pharmaceuticals, meditation apps, breathing techniques, and benzodiazepines, side by side in a digital carousel. Some help, some don't. But all speak to the same yearning. Make it stop. You scroll, you buy, you try. You wonder if you're healing or just numbing. You ask, who actually benefits from my fear? But what if panic isn't just something to silence? What if it's trying to speak? Some psychologists, and some philosophers, suggest a different frame. That panic is not a malfunction, but a message. A red alert from your inner world. A signal that something has been ignored for too long. Not to be feared, but understood. Imagine panic as a fire alarm, not the fire itself. It's loud, yes, unbearable at times. But it's asking a question you've avoided. Are you safe? Are you seen? Are you living in alignment with who you really are? Maybe it's not always that poetic. Sometimes it's just a glitch. But sometimes, it's a truth you've tried to bury. And your body, tired of waiting, finally shouts. Across centuries, the language has changed. From demons to diagnoses. From hysteria to serotonin. But the feeling, that deep, visceral jolt of uncontainable fear, remains. You are not broken for feeling it. You are not weak because it returns. Panic is not proof that you're failing. It may be proof that you're still listening, still alive, still deeply, painfully human, and perhaps the real work is not to shut it out, but to ask it why it came. To meet your fear not with shame, but with curiosity. To stop running from the fire, and instead, sit beside it, just long enough to hear what it has to say, because in the end, panic is not your enemy. It's a part of your story, a voice from within the storm, reminding you to wake up, to pay attention, to come home to yourself. And that might be the bravest thing you'll ever do.